Member care to move that the House take note of miscellaneous business? Will some member please call? Catherine Delahunty.
Mr. Speaker, women don't have pay equity yet, and it's not improving. Even if the Minister prefers the yearly NZ income survey to the quarterly employment survey, the picture remains bleak. In the 21st century, as of today, the pay gap is 12.8%. And when the government axed the Pay Equity and Employment Investigation Unit that had ensured that years of work that substantiated discrimination was not going to be implemented. The problem the Greens have with using the New Zealand Income Survey data is that it's an annual figure based only on April to June in any given year. The value of the quarterly Department of Statistics data is that it's based on payroll, and it is every quarter, so that you can speak authoritatively about a pattern, and it's getting worse. Mr. Speaker, a fair society is better for everyone, and that must start with the basics, such as honouring Te Tiriti o Waitangi and ensuring 50% of the population have equal pay and pay equity. It is disturbing that we are still litigating an issue so fundamental in terms of human rights. Last year, the Minister of the State Sector, Tony Ryle, told this House and the media that because of the recession we cannot afford pay equity for women. What is the excuse this year? We are sort of out of the recession, but women should still be patient while we build more motorways, because that's going to somehow help to give us pay equity. How? Without a rigorous commitment from government and a requirement in law to make specific gender pay gaps public in both the public sector and the private sector, we are living a lie of a free and equal society, and we don't even know the scale of the lie. Many young women whose mothers fought for the Equal Pay Act are deeply shocked when they find that pay equity is not a given and that the gap is 12.81% and rising. They have logically assumed that all the rhetoric around equal opportunity included economic equity. But au contraire, Mr. Speaker, and the occupations where pay equity remains are not just the caring professions, which the Minister of Women's Affairs has kindly told women they should abandon for jobs with a higher average pay. But they are also unequal for women tertiary graduates who are now 6.8% behind their male colleagues at the end of their first year of work. And that statistic, Mr. Speaker, about the tertiary graduates comes from the New Zealand Income Survey favoured by the Minister, and it's relevant from that research because it's an annual statistic. So far, the government program for addressing gender pay gap is quoting selective statistics and getting women on boards. I'm all for getting women on boards, but for reasons other than to do with pay equity. Where is the evidence that getting more women on boards results in higher pay for the bulk of women workers? With the best will in the world, the board employs the CEO and can adjust their pay, but the board doesn't set the pay rate for whole groups of workers, and in many industries there is no board. There is no evidence that helping individual women to succeed impacts on the pay of marginalised groups of employees such as social workers and school support staff, let alone marginalised women from Māori and Pacific nations. Mr. Speaker, everyone deserves decent work and a living wage. Everyone. And we deserve to be treated with respect. A widening pay gap shortchanges more than half the population and their dependent children. Often when we see women's pay, what we need to remember is that those women are the supporters of the next generation. We can turn this situation around, Mr. Speaker, with better leadership and with better law. It is not good enough to just continue ignoring the findings of the pay equity inquiry. I am drafting a members' bill to improve the situation because a fair society is better for everybody. If we continue to treat the gender pay gap as a side issue, as an irrelevancy, or something that can be dealt with by boards and by flexible working hours, both issues important but completely irrelevant to the issue of closing the gender pay gap, we will make no progress as a country. Because all of us, men, women and children, benefit when women who hold up half the world receive what we are due. And at the moment, there is a gap in the public sector. So I urge this government to listen seriously when we talk about legislation and to support gender equity, because at the moment they're doing nothing about it.
The Honourable Dr. Wayne Mayer.